No, it's all good.
Yeah, whatever. What's good, dude?
What's up, dude?
Good to see you, bro. Andrew, you and I met like a week and a half ago in your home town of Astoria.
Yeah, that's right. And I was fascinated by your name, Ted Jones.
Oh, yeah? You like that?
Yeah, it's like a rock star name or something.
You know what? I always appreciate when people say that. Yeah, we got the full
You get a lot. You get that a lot?
So it's the 2-syllable name, I think, that people like the ease of. You know what I mean?
That's right. Like, you got Tom Jones and you got
Brad Pitt, who's in some hot water recently after this fight on the private plane. Did you hear about this?
No.
Dude, I just read about this. This was like a few years ago. He got in a fight with his wife, Angelina Jolie, and the adopted kids on the plane. And then apparently it's just coming to the light now.
The adopted kids he fought too?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to mess with those kids. They're just fully getting into a situation. But yeah, those kids are from all over the world, man. Let's start from the beginning, man. Where did you grow up initially? And then when did you move to New York?
Okay.
That water's all you, bro.
Oh, cool. Is this the glass clean?
Yeah, that's a clean. I just
There's
cleaned
like lip marks on this. There's like lipstick on this.
Is there?
I'll drink it.
No, dude. There's not. I just cleaned it. Lipstick. Imagine. I haven't had a chick over here in too long. Speaking of lipstick, Andrew, I'll be honest with that one.
Well, funny story about this neighborhood. I don't want to give too much away. I won't say the neighborhood, but I kind of semi-dated a girl who lived around here for like a month, and I was like, Chelsea, ooh. And it was like winter, and she said, oh, it's hot. I'm going to sleep with the window open. I was like, all right. So she falls asleep, and then as soon as I close my eyes, I hear, help me!
Oh, yeah, dude. Seriously, no joke. Like, I'll hear screams and yelling from probably 10 to 12 blocks away. Just
it
like
was
down,
crazy. She was
echoing.
like knocked out. I was like, is this person okay? And then like 5 hours of the screaming, I'm like,
you're like, oh, this is normal for the neighborhood.
Or like, I hope this person dies soon so I can sleep. Like how much can you scream? Like, are you bleeding out for this long?
Hilarious.
Yeah, so I was a little suspicious of this, but you live in a nice part of this neighborhood.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So where I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. It's like the Queens of Washington, D.C. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Well, it's right outside of like the Georgetown area, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've spent some time in DC. I used to date a girl who went to college in DC, so I went down to GW a lot.
Oh, cool.
But in general, it was a pretty cool city. Did you spend a lot of time in DC or just in Virginia in general?
No, I grew up in the 90s, and it was a different time, you know, like every time we just drove through for field trips to the museums, and literally, I mean, to me, I was just like an 8-year-old, but I'm like, it's scary out there. There's like, you know, garbage cans on fire and stuff and graffiti. I'm like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And then we'd like, you know, look at the museum, get back in the bus and be scared until I got back to Alexandria.
So that was a pretty conservative area at that time. And I imagine now it's still pretty conservative, right? Not as much as back then.
Alexandria or Washington, D.C.?
Alexandria, Virginia.
It was okay. I don't know what the political stance is. The mayor was a Democrat, but I don't know what that means.
Well, when you went to Washington, D.C. and you saw all these city shenanigans happening, and then you came to New York, dude, you must have been like, well, this was nothing back in the day.
Well, then I went to college in Richmond, and that was like...
What was that, University of Richmond?
It was VCU, Virginia Commonwealth.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of it?
I actually have heard of them. They have a good tennis team. I played tennis at UConn, so I was familiar.
Oh, no way.
I was familiar with all the schools in the country that were good at tennis.
All the random schools.
Yeah, yes, dude, it's hilarious. Like I got obsessed with that. That was like when I was 8 years old, and my parents thought I had early stage autism because I loved the license plates, dude. I would just know every state license plate. I think that's probably where some of it came back, like in high school when I was like, oh, I really want to go to play college tennis. Where can I go potentially?
To the place with the best license plate.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go to that place with the pine cone in the middle. Maine.
The state of pine cones. So anyway, VCU.
Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating about license plates. What about them? Just, did you collect them?
I don't know, man. You're right. No one's ever really picked my brain about it. And I've never really talked about it so much. I don't even know if I've ever mentioned this through the 90 episodes of this podcast. I don't even know if I've ever mentioned that. So nice sport.
Big
Picking
world.
that out of me, dude. Exactly, it is.
Good. Let's dig deep in this Ted Jones world.
Dude. But I think it was just every car had a different looking one for the most part. Because I grew up in New York, but I would go to places like North Carolina, New Jersey, Delaware, Washington, D.C. because I had family in all these places. So
all these foreign places.
You know what I mean? But driving these places, you'd see all these different license plates.
Yeah, because the 95 corridor. I had that too. Yeah.
There you go.
Because it's the most it's the most drug traffic, but it's the most like traveled stretch of highway in the country.
Yeah, so I guess that might have been some of it, just seeing different license plates all over the place, you know.
And we lucked out. Unlike California, it's just one big state. We have like a bunch of little ones all clumped together, doing their own thing.
Exactly.
License plate wise.
Yeah.
I was into them too, a little bit. Okay, what was I saying? Alexandria. Oh, well, I went to Richmond, and that was like Mad Max planned this city. You know, like the streets were just filled with garbage. And I remember my dad had this Toyota convertible, and I was like, oh, I'll take this to my like college fraternity dance, and I parked it outside of my apartment, and then I came back. Somebody had cut the whole top open, took out everything, which was like
did surgery on it.
Yeah, and I didn't have, all I had in there was an iPod, but I was like, those bastards, my iPod, all my songs, all my Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and now to this day, my dad still has it. It's all duct taped. He still hasn't replaced the tape.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So
but it was very crime ridden and
Yeah.
bad. It's just where the part I lived, I think.
Did you move back home after you went to college in Richmond?
So I went to, well, in Richmond, I worked at the Richmond Funny Bone, which is like the only comedy club in like within 100 miles.
Is this when you were still at college?
I was I was a senior in college, and I worked at, I showed up there and I was like, can I have a job? And they're like, sure. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a comedian. And I show up and they were like, all right, get in the kitchen and make, clean the dishes and stuff. I just worked in the kitchen for literally 6 months thinking I was in the business of comedy, but I was literally just washing dishes and bringing food out to people at the Funny Bone. So,
and you saw a ton of
comics. Yeah.
Yeah. And this made you want to become a comedian, or did you know before? So kind of,
I wanted to a little before, but meeting the comics, that's what put in my head to move to New York. Cause they were like, I would pick their brains and they'd be like, yeah, the biggest thing is to leave Richmond. You can't be a comedian here. You're working in the kitchen at a comedy club.
Because you were probably seeing the guys who were coming through headlining the Funny Bone, probably.
Yeah, it was like Rich Voss, and I remember him. The guy who was on the Chappelle Show, who died recently. That guy on the Chappelle Show, he would tell the story about Rick James, bitch.
Charlie Murphy?
Yeah. He was there. Who else? It was people like him. I don't know.
So their advice was just to get out of Virginia and move to either in LA, Chicago, or New York, or just in New York?
They all said New York, yeah. Well, Charlie Murphy didn't talk to me. Oh, and then Jeff Dunham I met.
Oh, was he doing puppet stuff at that time? Or was he doing strictly stand-up?
Big.
What year was this?
This was like 2004.
So this might have been like the heyday of his like puppet tree stuff. Like he was,
he sold out every show.
Doing that. Oh wow.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, I can't wait to meet him. And after the weekend of shows, he sold out every one. I walked up and I'm like, hey, Mr. Dunham. I had like nacho cheese all over my uniform. And then this other guy that worked in the kitchen with me, he walked up next to me and he goes, yo man, let me play with your puppets. And Jeff was like,
while you were standing next to him with nacho cheese on your shirt, this guy blew up your spot?
This guy
wasn't even the fucking nacho cheese that got you in that bad spot.
No, God, he like creeped out Dunham, and Dunham just started quickly packing up his puppets. And I was
this
like,
in the green room or something?
No, this was on the stage, I think, because I guess like
a meet and greet.
No, it was weird. It was the audience was empty. Maybe he had just gotten there, or he was packing up to leave. Maybe he left some stuff on stage and came back for it after a meet and greet or something. But I was like, this is my moment to pick the biggest guy I know's brain. And this other guy like completely blew it. And I was like, you idiot! You can't. He's not gonna let you play with his puppets. That's how he makes his living. You dumb. But yeah, I moved to New York, and it took me a while to really commit to comedy. I went to grad school up here at first. I went to St. John's, and then after I graduated, I had no job, I had no girlfriend, and I was broke, but I was living in New York, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do comedy.
Were you living in Queens when you went
I
to
was
St.
living in
John's?
Queens, yeah.
Did you come into New York? I mean, come into Manhattan? Any chance you really got?
No, because it would take like 2 hours by train. It was Jamaica, Queens.
Oh wow, yeah, totally. So the process though of becoming a comic who works in the city every single night, how did you get from being a guy who just graduated St. John's grad school and then transforming into that?
I did the open mics in New York, which at the time, it was 2013, were like kind of like not as crazy as they are these days.
How do you mean?
Like, if I pop into an open mic anywhere, it feels like there's like 50 comics, and it feels like there's like so many comics that are like at open mics now. But back when I started, it was like 10 or 12 or 20, or that was like the most. It wasn't like it was like pretty easy to do multiple mics a night without putting in like 6 hours, you know?
Stuck at one mic for 2 hours.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't like that. And I remember there was one mic hosted by this guy who produced a show at the Lantern, which is now the Comedy Shop. And he's like, hey, man, I liked your stuff. Would you want to stand outside and say free comedy show for 2 hours for 5 minutes? And I was like, yeah. I felt like I had been chosen by the industry, you know?
Because this is your first spot, potentially. That wasn't an open mic.
Right, yeah. That was after like 6 months of doing open mics. And then I was like, man, I hope I did good. I hope I really...
Barking, you mean?
Yeah,
or your 5 minutes? Both.
Both, right? Yeah. I was like, man, this is my big moment. I hope I didn't blow it. And he's like, yeah, you free Thursday? And I'm like, yeah. So then I did Thursday, and I think I would do the barking twice or 3 times a week, and then do open mics. And then it got to the point where he was such a good producer, he started taking over all the shows. So then I would bark like 7 days a week for this one guy and get up 7 days a week, you know. And it was like a crash course in like
marketing,
comedy, breaking out of like my shell, because I felt like
you could talk to strangers.
Yeah. It was like a lesson in itself, talking to strangers and stuff.
Nice. Were you super into comedy growing up?
Yeah, man. I was into Comedy Central. Like, just I would have it on, watching all the specials like Jeff Dunham and Greg Giraldo and Jim Gaffigan. And then I would stay up late during the summer and watch, if there was a stand-up on Conan or Jay Leno, I'd watch that. Those were pretty fun.
What's been your highlight in New York so far? Comedy and not comedy-wise.
There's been a couple highlights. The first big one was I did one of the first roast battles in New York City in like 2016.
Where was that?
It was at the old stand that was on 24th Street. And
19th Street, right?
Oh yeah, 19th Street.
The New York Comedy Club is you're referring to.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was on 19th Street. I was doing a roast battle with Foley, because we were like, oh, we make fun of each other anyway. Might as well
go on stage and do it.
Go on stage and do it.
That's hilarious, dude.
And
how many years were you guys into comedy when you guys were doing roast battles like that?
I was like 3 years in, but he was like 10 years in or something. He started comedy like in the 80s or something. But that was my idea, like thinking, because we produced a show there at the stand too, me, Foley, and Kevin, and Tommy Cassidy and Chris Cotton. And so we were on like the email list with the booker. So he sent an email list to everyone, every comic that he knew, saying, we're starting this new show called Roast Battle. Who's interested? And I texted Foley. I'm like, we should do it. And there had been no roast battle there at all. There had been no clips online at all. So all I had to do to prep was like watching like the roast of like Donald Trump.
I remember that.
Yeah. Like I literally watched that whole thing because it was like free on YouTube for some reason. And I would just be like,
so that's just how you structured everything?
Yeah. I'd structure everything. It was like set up punchline or a misdirect where you think it's going to be a compliment, but it's an insult.
Yes.
So I was just like, okay, I literally like focused on it for like 2 weeks of writing all this stuff. Everybody I saw, I'd run the jokes by, and just to see if they made sense or worked. So I like focused on it for like 2 weeks. And then back then it was 3 rounds of roasting. You had to have like some ridiculous amount of jokes. And, I can't even remember what the structure was, but it was like, it felt like an eternity. There'd be only like 3 roast battles a night, and it'd be like an hour and a half show. So I wrote so many jokes, and I show up to the stand, like I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to blow it. It's never done something like this. And Foley is literally like, he would start writing jokes there. He didn't prepare at all.
That's hilarious.
All right, maybe he prepared a little bit, but nowhere as near the level I did. And we're second on the lineup, and the first 2 comics are Chris Scopo and this guy who since quit comedy. His name was Deepu Gill was his last name, I think. And they bombed. They like got no laughs, and the hosts or the judges tore them apart. They were like, "You should kill yourself. You suck." Like Ari Shafir literally told Deepu he should hang himself, and like Foley and I look at each other. We're like, "Oh my God, this is like an ambush. They're gonna tear us apart. We're gonna look stupid." And we both got like super scared. And then after the judges like finished tearing apart these 2 guys, they called us up, and I can't remember who went first, either me or Foley, but whatever we said, I immediately got a big laugh, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is going to be okay," you know? And we kind of like lost steam. We did like the 3 rounds, the last couple jokes, clearly like we ran out of jokes. We just kind of like did our best, and it kind of like got mediocre, but the judges were like, "Wow, that was great. We were expecting another Deepu," and I had won. I beat Foley, which, you know, he didn't really work hard on him. So, but I was like, oh my God. And we walk off stage. Everyone's like grabbing our arm. Like, you know, you should do my show and all this stuff. And I literally like, I couldn't sleep. I was like so excited that I came this like weird comedy challenge. And then I got
like a breakthrough moment for you. You feel like?
Yeah, it was like a confidence boost. And then also I got a text on my phone from a number I didn't recognize the next morning. And it said, "Are you available tonight?" or something. And it was the booker of the stand. I got passed at the stand from that roast battle. So I was like, wow, it's the best night of my life. I don't know. Up to that point, it was pretty cool.
And then life-wise in New York, you have a girlfriend in New York that you live with?
I don't live with her, but we started dating in February, and things are good. We don't live together, but we both got out of relationships. She lived with a guy for like years, and I lived with a girl for like 2 years. So we're kind of like excited, still happy.
I feel like that's got to be the best situation to be in. Like, I mean, you're with a girl. You guys are both, you know, very cautious about moving in with each other too quick because you both have had experiences where it maybe didn't go so great. You know, did you guys meet on an app?
Yeah, we met on Bumble.
Oh, nice, man. I don't know. I don't have Bumble on my phone, but when I had it, I didn't have so much success with it. In general, I don't really have so much success with dating apps, but I feel like it's like every other person has a lot of success with dating apps. Either has met their girlfriend or maybe has had girlfriends or guy friends or boyfriends in the past from it, I suppose.
Well, Bumble's the only one that's not owned by the Match people. Like Match owns Tinder. They might own Hinge too.
Really?
Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of like this corporate umbrella.
Female owned.
Yeah, but Bumble. Also like they want profit. They have shareholders. So they want to like not really get you a match that is
to keep you swiping. But Hinge has a slogan. They're like, the app that's meant to be deleted, which I can't see. It's a BS. Yeah, that's like the slogan they came out with.
That's good marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not.
That's like,
I still have it.
Yeah, what's the equivalent of that in another world? The food that's meant to be eaten?
Yeah, literally anything.
Yeah, anything.
You literally put that on like outside of Panera Bread. Panera Bread, food that's meant to be eaten.
gas that's meant to be put in your car.
That's Arby's. It kind of sounds like that. We have the meats, but it's just a very random, specific.
I know, which I don't. I really don't like that slogan.
What kind of food do you eat, dude? Speaking of Arby's having the meats, bro.
I eat Arby's.
We're going on a random tangent. You don't actually eat Arby's.
Oh yeah, man.
There's one in Queens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one you've been to?
That's the one I used to live by.
No way. Bro, that's right off the LIE.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to live right there.
That's hilarious.
Dude.
I've stopped there before to use the bathroom.
Dude, no joke. I gained living by that Arby's.
Yeah.
I seriously gained maybe 50 pounds. I was literally fat and I had no idea.
50 pounds from this build right now?
Yeah. Like double chin.
Whoa.
Wait,
so this was when you were in grad school? You were just like in the library all the time eating Arby's?
Eating Arby's or eating it after school. I would stop at Arby's before I went home.
What kind of sandwiches did you eat from there? Just the roast beef?
I would eat the roast beef with cheddar and then I would eat the curly fries. Oh man.
Bro.
Dude, I was in a bad place.
I used to eat McDonald's a lot, but I stopped and I'm vegan now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, man. So eating those processed meats, though, I mean, I was going to fast food places all the time, like Wendy's. I never got into Arby's.
It was
but
so
that
gross.
No offense, that seemed like one of the more gnarly kind of places to me. I don't know why, but it was just like the amount of meat that they put on a sandwich. You put it with the mayo and the cheese.
It's gross. Yeah, and
what drew you to there?
Well, I was so homesick when I first moved here. It was like my Southern embassy.
Oh, wow.
It was like, oh yeah, I feel like a diplomat in this place. You know, like I know the ins and outs of Arby's because I grew up in Virginia.
And can you walk there from where you live?
Yeah, but I didn't. I drove because I'm a fat piece of crap.
So how did
I would go through the drive-thru.
How long did it take you? Was it like over your 2 years or however many years you were at St. John's?
Yeah, it was like 2 years of eating there nonstop. What actually did it for me is somebody was like, yeah, those pants you're wearing, not
tight.
Yeah, they're really tight. And I was like, what do you mean? In my head, I thought I was skinny. And I looked down and my gut was literally covering everything. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm fat.
Bro, it's crazy. I heard this. I was scrolling through TikTok and some guy was like, you don't notice that you're super unhealthy until like 90% of the way there.
Yes, it's already too late.
Drinking and eating, you wake up one day and you're like, fuck, I have 6 months worth of work to do.
It's already too late. I blew it.
At least 6 months worth of work to do, I'm sure, right? If not for a year or 2 years.
And what's the sad part about your body is like, it would be one thing if you ate Arby's and then the next day you feel fat. But I feel like the digestion and all the stuff that turns Arby's into fat particles takes at least a couple weeks, you know?
How do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, I think I would eat burger and fries and be like, oh yeah, I look the same in the mirror. Just immediately look at myself. Oh yeah.
It would just happen, like a compounding.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a delay. The delay in eating bad to your body is maybe like a week or something. So
totally.
By the time the week is over, you think you're invincible. Oh, I got the metabolism of a teenager. I'll eat more.
Oh, that's interesting, man. Because I've definitely had 4 or 5 day benders where I've eaten so much shit, and I've been like, oh, I look fine, I'm good.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Then you keep adding those days, and then one day, day freaking 40 or whatever,
yeah,
eating like shit, not working out. You're like, fuck.
You hit rock bottom,
So what did your schedule kind of look like? Fat bot. What did your schedule look like when you were eating this much Arby's? And
I was a piece of shit. I would sleep in and...
You go to breakfast there?
I don't know if they do breakfast, but I wasn't waking up enough to go to breakfast.
Right, they weren't open for breakfast when you were out.
Probably not, yeah. I would usually stop on the way to St. John's. I would get, the lunch. Maybe I'd get the dinner too later. I was really depressed and, but... It was also very convenient, and it really felt like home. I don't know. Felt like, oh yeah, this is a little piece of Virginia in Queens.
You were depressed. Was that because of your time at St. John's and being unsure about why you were actually there, and also your diet?
Little both. And the third thing is that part of Queens looks like Soviet bloc, post-war East Berlin or something.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. There's just a lot of traffic maybe coming off of the 495, right? Right at that point, am I right?
Yeah, I heard car traffic all night. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I literally hear.
So you should have been used to that Chelsea shenaniganery with your ex-girlfriend then.
Yeah.
Maybe not people screaming though.
Yeah, right. Screaming for help the whole time.
Yeah, the cars are a different story.
But yeah. The cars are a different story, yeah. And I'd just be like, oh my God.
Bro, how long did it take you to lose, 50 pounds?
Well, I just it was kind of by accident because I moved away from the Arby's. And that helped a lot.
Stop, dude. All it took was just to move your house in a few miles east or whatever?
Yeah, I moved to Kew Gardens, and that wasn't by Arby's. And I was also like pretty poor, so I couldn't afford bread. I'd either have to choose between meat or bread at the grocery store. So I'd pick meat because I thought like the protein. So I accidentally did like the low carb diet without realizing it. My buddy, this guy, Alexis Guerreros, lost like a ton of weight. He's a comedian too. And I'm like, what's your secret, man? And he just said intermittent fasting. And then me and my other friends who were comedians at the time, we kind of all did it at once.
What was it like? Fasting 16, eating 8?
I would stop eating around 8 or 9 and then start eating around 12 or 1. So what is that? Is that 8?
Yeah, about 16 hours of fasting.
Yeah. So then I could eat carbs because before I was like an anorexic. Like I wouldn't even touch pizza. Only like on a special occasion I would eat a pizza.
It's it really does make things easier though once you put it into a window, like an intermittent fasting window. You're like, okay, I can freaking eat basically whatever I want in this 5 to 6 hour window. And it makes your body just use the fat that it already has in those times when you're not eating. And
it feel like your insulin level and all this stuff that your body does when it eats, it has time to like settle in.
Totally, man. Like I've eaten right before I've gone on stage before, and all my energy is focused on breaking down the food instead of my brain focusing on spitting that hot fire.
Yeah. Throwing those flames.
Throwing the flames on the grill.
Right, on the grill, yeah. On your hibachi grill of jokes.
Do you smoke weed at all?
No, I don't. Never really got into it.
Drink at all?
Yeah, not as much as I used to, though.
Yeah.
I used to drink a lot.
Slow down. Why'd you slow down?
I just like, well, when I was single and doing comedy, that was the thing to do, was to get wasted after a show and
you remember Fat Baby, bro?
Yeah, I would stop by Fat Baby.
Like Wednesday night. I used to be at Fat Baby Wednesday, 1 a.m. wasted, dude. Yeah, like 2016, 2017.
At the stand or the club?
No, the actual Lower East Side.
My hangovers started getting worse and worse.
Yep, preach.
Yeah, that's what it was like,
It's crazy how our body processes, I guess, circling back to an Arby's and also alcohol when we're young, It's crazy. Just like one day we'll start to be like, yo, we can't drink anymore. Or one day, like you maybe decided you can't hit the Arby's anymore. Or maybe you will on occasion, no?
Yeah, if I'm in the mood and on a road trip or something, maybe. It doesn't hit the same.
I feel you, man. It's not the Southern comfort that you once had.
But you know what the cool thing about the girl I'm seeing is we met around Valentine's Day, and I was joking around about Arby's.
Oh, let's go. And she's with it. She's like, when are you taking me there for Valentine's Day?
And we went, yeah.
No way. On Valentine's Day?
We went on Valentine's Day to Arby's.
Bro, good for you. You know what? That speaks to your true, authentic self, man. Think about how many guys would never do that.
Also, like how cool that chick is. But
you're cool. But if she's watching, I'm sure she's watching. Very cool.
But there's COVID stuff that they had no dining area. So we kind of like ate standing up, and then they kicked us out. So we really got kicked out onto the street with just Arby's.
Mayo on the side of your face, dude.
Yeah. And then we were like eating. It was like so cold. And then this homeless guy just starts walking up to us. And I'm like, you're not getting this Arby's. And he's just yelling. I don't even think he wanted anything. He just wanted to yell at somebody. So I think we had to take the train somewhere else to eat the Arby's.
Full circle, man. Well, that's a beautiful moment. You touring at all?
Yeah, I opened for Emma Willman. We're doing some Funny Bones.
Love that.
We're doing Albany. We just got the date for, and somewhere else. But Those will all be on my website, andrewschiavone.com.
How'd you meet Emma?
We, at the Village Lantern, weirdly. She was friends with the same guy I was friends with who booked the shows. And he would put her on, I would bark and then she would be the headliner or something. So then we started joking around and being friends. And then I ran into her in 2020 and she asked if I had a car. And I said, yeah. And then we did a Jersey gig in 2020, like the first road gig I did in like 7 months. And then she was like, you want to do another Jersey gig? I was like, yeah. And then it started being buying the plane tickets to go to a show and doing like a week-long thing and all over the place. It was like, she started rising at the same time as we became, road buddies. So we just kept doing stuff.
What happened with you during 2020? Did you go back home?
No, literally I was packed with my girlfriend at the time and we were going to go down there and my dad was like, yeah, probably shouldn't have come because I guess the news made it seem like everyone in New York had COVID. So my girlfriend and I just looked at each other. We're like, I guess we're here. And then we just stayed up here the whole time. It was miserable. It was horrible. It was so horrible to stay up here. I didn't do any comedy. I was too depressed.
And you were just inside most of the day with your ex-girlfriend at the time?
And we broke up, yeah.
Well, and it was probably because of having to be in such close quarters, right, for so long? Or did you kind of feel like you guys needed to break up even before COVID?
We weren't right for each other, but COVID made it extra clear.
Yeah.
That we weren't right.
That's crazy. What were some of the red flags, though, that gave you the idea to just get out of there? To
get out of the relationship?
Yeah.
Well, she kind of like quit the relationship.
Oh my God, like quiet quitting?
Work quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting how? She like starting arguments that she wanted you to be the aggressor in and she could be like, see, Andrew, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Something like that. Yeah, just acting really crappy and, where I'm like, all right, what's going on? And then I eventually got out of her that she wanted to break up. So I technically started the breakup, but she kind of broke up, quiet quitted. and then after that, I felt like a boost of energy because it was kind of emotionally exhausting to be kind of in an unhappy relationship.
How long were you in that?
We lived together we moved in during the pandemic because we both had roommates in Queens. So we moved in thinking like this is the solution to all our problems.
Wow. That's like getting a dog or having a baby.
Yeah.
But moving in with someone, potentially the least problematic of all three, maybe getting a dog. But yeah, moving in with someone, you can easily move out, right? How long did you guys live together for?
We lived together for exactly, oh no, never mind. Like about a year and a half. Like we moved together 2020. We broke up October 2021.
Did you have an 18th month lease or did you sign another year?
Well, we had month to month because
great.
I kind of was.
You
like,
implied after year month 12, you're like, let's see what happens the next week.
Yeah, right. Let's take this on probation.
We'll take it day to day, babe.
But yeah, so I don't know what was I saying. Oh, my pandemic. Yeah, so it was with her and I feel like it just became to the point where anything I did was annoying. She'd be like, "You're on the couch again," and I'm like, "Yeah, we can't go anywhere."
That's also, man, like think about how many relationships ended like that, especially in New York.
Yeah, man. There's no
people
room
in a 300 square foot apartment. It's just not really how we're meant to live. If you think about the 1950s and 60s, you'd see your wife in the morning, 8 a.m. You'd go to work. You'd come back by 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So like there's 11 hours of the day where you're not texting your wife. You're not on Instagram scrolling, potentially seeing your wife in a picture you don't want to see her in.
Yeah.
Or maybe she was being weird at a particular time. It's like the men, traditionally speaking, the men, they go out and hunt and then they come back.
Yes.
And the females at that particular time in history are taking care of the kids, taking care of the house. So it's unnatural to be in a space with someone like 350 feet. Like there's still lockdowns now going on all over the world, and people are just.
I know, and
people are very unhappy. Obviously,
the CDC person just got COVID. So is that a sign of another wave? If the top of the food chain has gotten
I don't know, man, but it's crazy how many testing sites are on every single corner. I'm sure you see that in Astoria too. People just sitting in their booths with the tent. Why are there so many? I don't get it.
I remember like September and October last year, I'd see those tents and I'd be like, why bother? You know, COVID's over. And then literally like 2 weeks later, I was looking for a tent because I had Omicron.
Really?
I was like, where are all the tents?
What was that? Probably like November, December last year? Because I remember there was, that we had like a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
Then.
Every comic, every comedian had gotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I just, went through that breakup. I was living alone. I had COVID. I was like, oh, this sucks. I couldn't, go home for the holidays or anything. But then after that, things got better. I got the Omicron booster, so I'm not scared. I'm like, cough around me. I got the booster.
Yeah, let's go cough in my face, kid. Yeah. What's your favorite part about Astoria?
Oh man.
And also freshman year, I'll give you some context of high school. I used to run in that Astoria Park like a few days a week.
Oh, on the track or
on the track.
Yeah, that's a good track.
Yeah, they turned it blue, I guess, in the last few years. It used to be a red track, pretty dumpy, but now it's nice.
Yeah, a lot of people run there. It's like hard to get a lane now.
Really?
Yeah, it's like so many people.
That makes sense because that's one of the main parks that's right on the water. It's beautiful there.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome place. Favorite part of Astoria is the neighborhood I live in is like surprisingly safe or something. I don't know. But for example, I drove my car yesterday to see my girlfriend and I got in the car and all these lights on the dashboard lit up like sensor error and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, what's going on? When I got home, I looked it up and they're like, oh, your sensor's dirty. That's what the website said. I typed in like the make and model and what the error message was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just clean it. And the video said where to clean it. And I put my hand to where it was and all I felt was a wire. Somebody had stolen the thing. The
sensor?
The sensor.
On your freaking Hyundai or
on
whatever?
my Honda Accord. Somebody has stole it out of there. Because they resell for like $200.
Have you seen these recent stories about kids stealing Hyundais and Kias?
The emblem?
No, the actual cars themselves.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know, but I haven't heard of these Honda Accord parts selling.
Yeah,
dude, crazy car parts. I don't even understand how they sell for so much. It's so funny.
And I park in Astoria, like literally, it's like garbage everywhere. I open the door, I step on a diaper. Like no car issues ever.
You park on the street though, and you have to move it every couple of days.
Yeah.
Why do you find the need to have a car in New York?
Well, because I like road stuff a little bit.
Totally.
That's how I get in the city now. I drive and it's easier to get back.
Really?
And you don't always find a spot.
Oh,
usually.
okay. All right. That's enlightening to hear. People sometimes the cars always swear and say that Manhattan is terrible for spots.
It not at night for like around comedy time. It's pretty good. Like you can find a spot.
Post rush hour.
Yeah. Like all the meters end at 7. So if you have an 8 o'clock show, you could just park for free. Like all the clubs and Village.
Yeah, like they have parking out front. I've noticed that too.
Yeah. Okay, this is like, I'm sorry.
I've noticed that.
This is not really the funny angle I wanted.
You want a funny angle? All right, dude, give us a bit. Give us bit. Give us an ending bit, all right?
Okay, you mean like a stand-up bit?
I don't know.
Or like a combo bit?
A combo bit.
Okay, oh man.
Put it on the spot. This is improv on the spot.
Okay.
With Andrew.
Crap.
Or you know what? Or we can talk about something. Maybe you have something coming up, and I know we briefly talked about this, but maybe you have something coming up that you're pumped about. I know you have some shows with Emma Willman.
What about a stand-up joke? We could riff on. I have this stand-up joke where World War II, Germany started the war. They did horrible things, but then 20 years later, people bragged about having their cars. Isn't that weird? It's like now if we're like, you see this watch, Taliban. Are you jealous? Taliban makes this watch. Or something. I don't know. What do you think?
There's something there.
There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there.
Maybe
every
like
20 years, the bad guy becomes the good guy. Theoretically, like Trump.
Yeah.
Trump is a
Trump might make cars,
dude. Like people want Trump back in office. It's like we forget about how much of shenanigans he got. I mean, but that's pretty political. I don't know. Do you ever see again? I was saying Trump coming back to be president. Everyone's saying that like we forgot that how annoying he was in office when he was in office.
People are already forgot about how bad it is because he's like censored off of Twitter. Like everyone, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Like I forgot everything about him.
How do you feel about Elon on Twitter? Because I know you're a big Twitter guy.
He
$8 a month for the verification.
What's crazy to me is all the tweets of the people who already have a blue check mark. Like I've been trying to get a blue check mark for years. And apparently there was accounts in 2016 that got blue check marks, but they were like white supremacists or something. Because remember the Charlottesville thing? I guess some of them had blue check marks.
They got them after the Charlottesville thing?
Or they had them before or at the time. God. So Twitter was like, that's it. No, we're not giving out any more or something. Like there used to be a process where you could just validate yourself. And I feel like that one, they're like, all right, it looks bad that we're validating white supremacists. So we're not doing it anymore. We're not doing any check marks. And if you knew somebody or you had like a connection at Twitter, you could get it. But an average Joe, it was very hard. So
how do you feel about the new model that he's talking about though?
Well, all these people who have them are complaining. They're like, it's not fair. But I'm like, this at least gives me a chance, you know, to get a blue one. I feel like it's going to suck to pay $8 a month, but at least you can have some clout on the platform now. You know, I don't know. I feel like it's okay. It's like, it just makes it a kind of a streamlined system, at least, than before where you had no idea how to get one unless it was more privileged before Elon because you had to know somebody who knew somebody. It was like a skull and bone society or something.
Politics of Twitter.
Yeah, the politics of the privileged or something. And now it feels like everyone can get it if they can cough up $8 a month or $8 a year. That's more equal, I feel like. Because anyone can get $8. It's not that hard.
Meat or bread? That's the real question. Vegan meat or bread? Andrew Schiavone.
Thank you, Ted.
You're the freaking man.
Thank you to the world.
Thank you so much for coming on the Ted Jones World Podcast, bro. We're going to pop up your Instagram here through CGI post-production. So shout it out, please.
Adrian Schiavone on Instagram, Schiavone on Twitter. See you, everybody. And TikTok, Adrian Schiavone.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace.